Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, a new addition to Storybook Land is open. The Disney Christmas special is coming to ABC and streaming.
A fun holiday character is wandering around downtown Disney. Pixar Place celebrates 30 years of Toy Story. We talk to director, animator, and Tiki Enthusiast Paul Briggs, and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Mica nalla Krista! Blah! Hi, this is DL Weekly. Family. Good. You listen? Okay. Don't forget Ohana.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of November 19th, 2025. I'm Tag Bushman.
And I'm Teresa Urban. We would like to thank everyone who supports the show, but this week we would like to give a special shout out to Aaron C. for increasing your support, and also to Megan A., Aaron D., and Sherry H. for your continued support. If you would like to help support the show and get ad-free versions of each episode, access to our supporter-only chat, plus a bunch of other fun perks, head on over to dlweekly.net/support and become an official weekly tier.
Also, just as a quick reminder, please make sure that you log into Patreon if you are a supporter, and make sure that your address is up to date, because we will be sending out holiday cards again this year, and we do always get a couple back from like bad, wrong addresses. So make sure your address is updated so we can make sure we send you that.
We want to make sure you receive your magic mail.
Yeah. Now let's get to the news.
Extra, extra! Read all about it! DL Weekly reports from intrepid correspondents Tag and Teresa. You heard it here first, ladies and gents. Breaking news!
Well, this past Friday, Storybook Land canal boats reopened with the new Tangled scene in the attraction. As guests pass by the tower during the day, When Will My Life Begin will play, and I See the Light will play after dark. The tower itself fits right in with the rest of the attraction and looks great.
I'm excited to see this in person. Of course, we've only seen photos and videos at this point. But one thing that I haven't really seen, can't really see, I guess, in the photos and the videos is some of the tiny details, right? So there's a couple videos that do a nice job of showing like the different photos of Flynn, his wanted posters, and how they like can't ever seem to get his nose right. So you can see those in, I think it's one of the videos that Mice Chat shared. But I'm really curious about in the concept art. I don't know if this actually came to life in the actual version, but I'm looking at the concept art, and at the end, right before you go under the bridge, there was like a little, I don't know, tunnel type thing. And I think there's supposed to be a little rowboat over there that then the lanterns like went up and over the archway there. And I have not spotted, like haven't seen a good thing to see if that came to be or didn't.
That's what that is, isn't it?
I don't know. I can't quite tell. I think it is, but everything that I see goes by it really, really quick. So
that's what that is.
I'm excited to see it in person to be able to try and catch these details, because it is hard to try and capture all of this as you're going past.
Yeah. I just find it surprising, like, that people haven't taken better video of this or something. I don't know.
We need, like, someone to go through and do it and then, like, have slow-mo.
Well, I'm looking. I just want to pull up another, new scene. Let's see if this one has a better shot of it. Well, it seems like all of the...
everybody's focusing on the tower, which I get, but I'm so curious about, like...
And the tiny little posters.
Yeah, which I get, again, like, I understand wanting to try and capture those, but
There you go.
There. Now you can see it. It's not what I envisioned, though. I thought that the little boat would be, like, in the water, but it looks like... So how that came to be is different from the concept art. There's, like, I don't know. What do you want? Not scaffolding, but there's, like, a little ladder-type system from the top down into the water, and the boat's kind of... It's not... The boat isn't in the water, like I assumed it would be.
Here. I wanted to see, like, a nighttime, because I wanted to see the lighting. Oh, that looks really nice at night.
But so the big thing, though, was
the music.
The lanterns. And the lantern effect doesn't seem to fully be working.
Oh, yeah, because
that's like the lantern effect that's kind of up and over on the bridge is not working in this video.
It's working like the light on the like pier or whatever, but not the... Interesting. This is definitely one of those attractions just in general I think I like it better at night, actually, because the lighting and stuff is so amazing. So I feel like people should go on this at night. But you get different experiences now, because during the day you get one song, at night you get another song. I am glad that they picked 2 songs because I feel like I have heard I See the Light like a billion times. It's like the only song they ever play from that movie. So it's good that they have a couple.
Well, the Christmas special that was taped at the parks last month has an air date on ABC and Disney Plus, Hulu, and Disney YouTube. December 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC, Derek Huff will host the Wonderful World of Disney Holiday Spectacular, with streaming coming to Disney Plus and Hulu, as well as Disney YouTube the next day. The special will have appearances by Gwen Stefani, Coco Jones, Aloe Block, Good Charlotte, Mariah the Scientist, Nicole Scherzinger, Ian Tongi, Bebe Rexha, Trisha Yearwood, and more. Special looks of upcoming movies and performances from the Disney parks will also be featured.
Yeah, so this is cool. They're obviously going to be around. They're going to be in the different parks in Walt Disney World. They're going to be from Disneyland. We reported on that a couple weeks ago, the filming that went on there. Of course, all these people are going to be there doing performances. There's also going to be a special look at the new Avatar movie from Animal Kingdom. They're also going to talk a little bit about Zootopia 2. So should be quite the star-studded spectacular that Disneyland gets featured in.
This feels like it's earlier this year than normal years, which is, I'm okay with that.
I thought this used to air
like on Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that explains why they had to film it so early.
Perhaps,
and because I was thinking if they had to wait till Christmas Day, why are they filming and it's not even Halloween yet?
Mm-hmm.
This makes a lot more sense that they would get all this together. So, but yeah, and I like the fact that you can watch it on ABC or just wait till the next day. It'll be on Disney Plus, Hulu, and Disney YouTube. They're really putting a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, don't you want to push people to your streaming platform? But maybe not.
You can get it in all the places, all the spaces.
A new interactive element has made its way from Disney Springs to downtown Disney. Douglas Fir, a Christmas tree character, and not just a tree type, has begun making appearances around the shopping district. Douglas interacts with guests verbally while rolling around the district. He is around daily at 11:30 a.m. to noon, 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m., and 1:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. First of all, Douglas Fir, what a name.
This is like, did you watch the video? Just watching this like unassuming little tree somehow be like magically driven around and like following people around is just wild to me. I think it's so fun. And then interacting with guests too, not just like, chilling and enjoying downtown Disney. No, like communicating with guests too. I think it's so interesting.
Yeah. I guess I don't know what to make of this.
The thing that's wild though is it's so unassuming. If this wasn't rolling around, you would think nothing of it and that it was just a decoration. Oh, look, this kid gave the Douglas a hug. How cute. Anyways, I hope any weekly tiers that are heading to the parks maybe get to bump into Douglas on their downtown Disney journey, and like this just looks wild. I want to know what it's like to meet Douglas in person. It looks really, really fun.
It's like Olaf, so many hugs.
Right?
Anyway.
Super fun. Well, the Pixar Place Hotel is celebrating 30 years of Toy Story with a gallery featuring the art of Toy Story, 30 years and beyond. The Great Maple also created a Toy Story-themed confection made with 70 pounds of premium chocolate manufactured in France.
Yeah, I was nice to us, and I didn't try to get us to pronounce whatever that French word is of like the actual location.
Yes, yeah, the city.
Who doesn't like a nice confection like display made of like candy or sugar or whatever? Looks really great. I'm kind of sad. Did you see any more of this like gallery? I don't find any
so curious
pictures.
what this gallery looks like. But the thing that's interesting and fun about this is even if you're not a guest staying at the Pixar Place Hotel, this is still something that you can go visit the hotel and go check out this gallery. There was, what was it? Was it Inside Out that had stuff when we were there? It was on the when we went and they had stuff on display. It was on the second floor, and we got to see different like maquettes of the characters from the film and all sorts of cool stuff. So if you've got time, I'm sure it's wonderful, and go check it out, and go take a peek.
Oh, here we go. I found like a
there's like concept art that they've got on display, and like different sketches and computer renderings of them trying to like, create the space and build the world of Toy Story that we know and love.
This is a great like space at the Pixar Place Hotel to like kind of do this kind of stuff, and I'm really glad that they're doing some of it. It's actually like it's a really nice space.
Yeah, that's a bigger display than what we saw. It's in the same spot though. Like it's the second floor, so you can get a kind of be the same eye level with all the really fun mobiles, those colorful Pixar character mobiles, and it's up there. So go check it out if you've got time.
Yeah, definitely worth a peek. Well, Magic Key holders have some limited time experiences and savings coming for the holiday season. A Letter to Santa PhotoPass opportunity will be available from November 14th through December 20th from 1:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Toontown Firehouse, of all places. The reserved dining area across from the Blue Sky Cellar will return for the Festival of the Holidays, along with a special Sip and Savor Pass design for key holders. Commemorative pins and merchandise will also be on hand, exclusive to Magic Key holders. So a bunch of stuff.
That's fun. Hopefully, I'm sure there's still the discount for the Sip and Savor Pass, in addition to having, a special limited design for that as well.
Yep, special price and lanyard.
There you go. Perfect. We love the special price. But I think it's fun too. So this is funny. Well, no, this is good. I was like, well, this is funny to me, but I forget not all Magic Keys include PhotoPass, but the special photo does also have a complimentary download for you as well. So if you don't have one of the, the 2 higher tiers both include PhotoPass. So if you don't have, if you're on one of those higher 2 tiers, you can still download that special photo too. Well, Zootopia 2 premieres in theaters November 26th. Clawhauser, the Zootopia Police Department's desk clerk, the lovable desk clerk, I will add, will be meeting and greeting guests in Disney California Adventure starting on November 24th. Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde will still be on hand as well. In addition, a new Zootopia 2 experience premiered in the Animation Academy with the addition of Gary the Snake, the new... I don't know if he's a villain or who he is quite yet, but he's adorable with his one single fang. But he is a new character coming to the world of Zootopia that I'm excited to meet.
I agree with you that Clawhauser is adorable, and I would love to take a photo with Clawhauser. At the Zootopia attraction that's open in Asia, they have an amazing audio animatronic of this character.
Even better tag. So they just, at Walt Disney World, at Disney's Animal Kingdom, in the Tree of Life, they used to have the show It's Tough to Be a Bug.
Yeah.
They have revamped that, and it's actually a Zootopia themed show. And so they have an updated Clawhauser animatronic there that's even better than the one overseas, because he does not have the projected eyes.
Oh, well, we know how much you love the projected eyes.
I'm so happy that we're moving away from the projected eyes and faces, because I think they just look more... I'm going to say natural. That's not really the word, but they feel more like they stepped off the screen.
Realistic.
And more realistic without that.
So how do you feel about the new character at the Animation Academy? I saw that. I was like, Teresa's going to be so happy.
Yeah. Sign me up for all the classes. I wanted to note really quick, though, that Nick and Judy are in like new outfits that they must be wearing for the new film. So that's pretty fun. So even if you've had your photo with Nick and Judy before, they now have updated looks, so you can get your photos with them and it'll be refreshed. No, I'm curious about Gary the Snake, because he's getting a lot of, like, we don't know anything about him yet, but he's getting a lot of promo stuff. I think there's a sipper that's coming to the resorts of Gary. Gary is now, like you said, a featured character at the Animation Academy. So I'm curious about Gary. I'm really interested in this movie, really because of Gary. Like, I don't know why, but like, I need to know, who is this snake? Kind of like some of the promo that they had early that they had other like cute side characters that they heavily promoted, and you're like, who is this adorable character? I need to know more.
Yeah. I was just watching this like little video clip that they have from Zootopia Day. It was a pre-parade show in Shanghai back in 2023. And the Clawhauser that they had in this pre-parade looks like inflated almost.
Oh, sure.
Like,
sure. Like
adorable. Those head bops around and everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I'm excited to see some of this stuff. I'm excited for the movie, actually.
Me
'cause
too.
I always forget about Zootopia, like unfairly forget about Zootopia.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of it's underrated. I get it.
Yeah. Well, if you count on your coffee from Starbucks in downtown Disney, you may need to plan an alternative. Baristas from the downtown Disney location have been on the picket line to improve their labor practices. Starbucks Workers United represents 12,000 workers at over 650 locations, including the downtown Disney location. Until the strike is over, the location will remain closed.
This is not impacting the Starbucks locations that are inside of Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. This is just the downtown Disney store. I had seen reports from people posting things on social media that the picket line was even like at Disneyland and outside of the like harbor gates. So, and this is important because, right, like these people, even though they're not Disney employees, they're bringing magic to guests. So it's only fair that they're treated appropriately. So hopefully they're able to come to an agreement and that things get better for workers and they get paid more fairly, all that good stuff. But for the time being, this is impacting the downtown Disney location. So the downtown location is closed until further notice.
Like I said, if you need your coffee fix and you rely on that downtown Disney Starbucks,
check out some of the cold brews.
Well, there is that.
At the Disneyland Resort. That's what, lots of good options.
Yoo-hoo! Hello, everybody! It's me, Heimlich. My stomach is so empty. Hey, help me to go find something to eat. Come on, everybody. Here we go.
We got a small option in SnackChat, and then we have a bigger option. So we're going to start with Wetzel's Pretzels, which is going to be very quick and easy because this location in downtown Disney sells a jillion types of pretzels and bits, which I guess are they're like pretzel bites. And so, yeah, lots of different options. I don't know if there's any that stand out to you that you want to mention.
There's way more options. I've never gone, and I didn't realize it was this vast of a choice. You've got the original almond crunch, pepperoni twist, jalapeno cheese, choco churro bits, sinful cinnamon cheese meltdown, s'mores. I mean, there's a ton.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they've got original or strawberry lemonade, frozen or regular. They have a guava mangonada, which I guess is, fountain beverages. They have a fresh boba lemonade and frozen boba lemonade, and also a frozen granita, which comes in kiwi, strawberry, blue raspberry, or horchata flavors or bottled water.
Okay. Maybe we've been sleeping on Wetzel's Pretzels because that's way more than I assumed was going on there. I thought it was like pretzels, maybe pretzel bites, and like soda. I thought it was a much more simplified menu than that.
What's another place that doesn't have a simplified menu that you knew about?
I think we're talking now about Ballast Point, which is also located, of course, in downtown Disney. They have tons of different stuff. So we're talking Ballast Point as in like the restaurant, not the crazy shake place that's right next to it, but all sorts of different shareables. You've got kind of your traditionals like French fries, sourdough pretzels, wings, different types of flatbreads, different types of nachos. They even have a chicken pot pie empanada or chicken and waffle fries. Look at that.
And that's just the shareables.
That's just the shareables.
So for their mains, of course, they have some things like you would expect from a location like this. There's the Ballast Point Burger, which I'll just read quick because it's probably like their signature burger. It's a half-pound patty. That's a lot. Shredded lettuce, tomato, BP special sauce, American cheese on a toasted brioche bun, and pickle spear. You can add bacon, egg, extra patty, jalapeno for an additional cost. You can also upgrade to a garlic and Parmesan fries. Well, that sounds good. And you can substitute pepper jack at additional cost as well. So lots of options.
They also have a Beyond Delicious Burger. So this is a meatless version. So it's a Beyond patty served on a vegan brioche bun topped with pepper jack cheese, vegan bell pepper aioli, lettuce, tomato, and pickle spear. And then other options include Baja fish tacos, fish and chips, birria queso tacos. Ooh. That's fun.
What's a queso taco, I wonder?
So it's Angus beef, blended tortilla, cilantro, onions, avocado, jalapeno salsa verde. Okay, an avocado jalapeno salsa verde served with a side of salted chips and roasted salsa.
Huh.
Interesting.
They also have a poke
They
bowl,
have a poke bowl.
a pastrami burger, a lobster roll. They also have a buffalo ranch chicken sandwich and the BP dog, which is a 1-pound savory bacon-wrapped beef sausage
Wow.
paired with smoky chipotle ketchup, zesty grain mustard aioli, and sweet caramelized onions, topped with a fire-roasted poblano peppers and a fresh cilantro garnish, served with your choice of house salad or crispy fries.
If you're looking for something on the lighter side, they've got you covered with a house salad as well as a Caesar salad. And right now, currently, they have a fall Cobb salad, which includes shaved Brussels and baby gem mix, caramelized apples, roasted delicata squash, honey roasted turkey breast, hard-boiled egg, dried cranberry, crispy prosciutto, and served with an apple cider vinaigrette.
That sounds really good,
That
actually.
does sound delicious.
Well, if you got a sweet tooth, they've got a few options here. They have a funnel cake fries, which are golden, crispy funnel cake fries with macerated strawberries and whipped strawberry ricotta.
There's a chocolate cake, a New York cheesecake, and a guava mango flute, which is tantalizing guava and mango swirled gelato.
For the kids' menu, they got mac and cheese, they got a cheeseburger, crispy chicken fingers with some sides. You can get baby carrots, tortilla chips, or french fries for the kids. And then they got a bunch of
Different
alcoholic
beverages. We've got ciders, kombuchas, and seltzers. We have margaritas. We have bright rosé and sparkling wines, red wines. I'm sure there's no beers listed. Ballast Point feels Brewing Co. There's got to be beers. They just don't.
They're probably a big tap menu.
Yeah, I was
going to
say they just don't have it listed here. There's no way.
Yeah. So did we eat here? Was that the one that had the upstairs patio? Where did we eat that had the upstairs patio that time? We were on the outside, kind of up.
I don't think that
Point?
was me. I don't think you were with me. I've never eaten at Ballast Point.
Maybe that was with James and Alex.
Perhaps.
Maybe. Anyway, they have one of these places. I think it was Ballast Point. Has a nice upstairs patio that's outside that kind of looks down. Pretty nice.
Oh yeah, Black Tap is the crazy shakes.
Maybe Black Tap Burger. Anyway. Well, if you enjoy listening to the show, please consider rating and reviewing the show on your podcast app. It helps other Disney fans become weekly tiers and part of the community.
You come seeking questions and long-lost Disney information, eh? Sure, you come to the proper place, but keep a weather eye open, mates, and hold on tight with both hands, if you please. There be squalls ahead, and James and Vern waiting for them what don't answer correctly.
Welcome to Trivia Land, where we have some wonderful listener-submitted questions, and our bonus question tonight is brought to you by producer James. Are you ready for these questions? You got some great knowledge in your head?
I hope so.
All right, well, let's see.
You don't have anything to say, Teresa? You're just
I'm just
along
here for the ride.
Okay.
All right.
We're really confident tonight, Vern.
I could tell. We're going to see how you do. Your first listener-submitted question from listener Stephen W. What are the names of the two Onaka transport technicians that are talking while you're in the Smuggler's Run queue?
Oh, the dumb guys that are like...
Yes.
Well, are they both dumb, or is it just the one guy that's dumb?
They're pretty inept. I don't know if I necessarily want to say dumb.
Okay,
but
inept. That's a good way.
Yeah, inept.
I don't know.
Oh.
Chewbacca, my friend. That's all I got.
That's an...
No, I know.
No, I love when you come in and they go, "Hello, my friends."
Yes, yeah.
I
You know what's
sorry, Vern.
terrible? I don't think I've ever paid attention to this part.
What?
Like, to know that there's like two tech whatevers talking.
You don't hear them talking over the radio in the like
think-
room where the pod racer engine thing is?
I think I just like
Tune it out.
tune it out, yeah.
Because
So I got nothing.
they sound kind of like younger dudes working. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know, Vern. I think we're in trouble.
Okay, so I don't know, and we're in trouble.
So I have a question.
Do
Do before you asked this question and researched it, were you paying attention to this? Would you have been able to answer this trivia question?
I have always been aware that there's conversation going on, and I've always laughed at the stuff that they're saying to each other, but I've never listened closely enough to actually catch them calling each other by name.
Gotcha.
So kudos to Stephen W. for actually paying that close of attention. In fact, there is a submitter note that they couldn't find anything to verify online, so they specifically went back to the parks to verify.
Look at that.
Well,
That's dedication.
I wish I was able to go verify that easily, question mark.
I was able to look online and verify it through online sources. So we have the listener going to the parks and we have online sources. The answer is accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess now that you said that, I guess I've noticed conversation, but I didn't know it was like, I don't know, I thought it was like the radio or something. I really didn't pay attention to what was going on as far as that. That's very unlike me.
Is it though?
Sometimes.
I feel like if you got a lot of other things to look at, which that queue gives you.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you ever really watched yourself in a queue? You're always talking,
or I'm staring at things and like looking at things. I guess I don't pay attention. Yeah, you're right.
Not listening.
I don't listen to things that closely unless it's like Sala or like there's certain things that I'm very like.
Yeah, but you're supposed to be listening to Sala. But anyway, yeah,
that's true. It is the safety spiel.
All right. So your official answers, I don't know, and we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Locking it in?
Sounds great.
All right. Your second listener submitted question from listener Andy M. There are at least 5 real-life landmarks, 4 man-made and 1 natural, when guests fly above London in Peter Pan's flight. Can you name them?
So like...
The Thames is probably the man-made one.
The Big Ben.
You're saying the River Thames is the
not
man-made?
No, I'm sorry. The natural. Sorry. And then it's not Big Ben. Big Ben is the bell that's in the tower.
Oh, well, it's the London Clock Tower.
It's the Parliament Tower or something. You know what I mean when I say Big Ben.
I will accept Big Ben as your answer.
What else?
Because it's colloquially what everybody calls it.
Does the bridge have a name?
Oh, the Tower Bridge. Yeah.
Tower Bridge.
Yeah, it's not the London Bridge. That's the boring-looking one. The one that everybody thinks is the London Bridge is Tower Bridge. Why do I know this much about London and all
you've been there
and all the like misconceptions of all the famous things we think we know about
now,
it?
How many things were we supposed to be naming?
At
4?
least 4 man-made and 1 natural.
Does the London itself count as a man-made thing?
No, just the landmarks, not the city.
Okay.
Yes.
All I ever look at is the tower. Just the tower.
Does Mickey Mouse hiding in the tower count for something?
No.
Dang it.
That's not a landmark.
And you said real life landmarks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, actually, you can go to London and see these landmarks.
The London Eye's not there, is it?
That's way outside the time frame.
Well, I'm just trying to think of like.
I only say that because I literally internally thought that a minute ago. It was like, no, Tag, that's dumb. Is the Abbey
can't
like
see,
the
Buckingham Palace or anything?
What's the maybe? what's the place where the royals get married? It's the something Abbey.
Oh,
Westminster Abbey.
Westminster. We'll say that Westminster and
Buckingham Palace. That's a good one. So that's 4 man-made, and then the River Thames.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds good.
All right. So the River Thames, Big Ben, the Tower Bridge, Westminster Abbey, and Buckingham Palace.
I think those are pretty good answers.
We're solid on 3 of them.
You know, if this was Family Feud, we'd all be going, good answer, good
That's
answer.
True.
And high-fiving and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Steve Harvey would be looking at us in disdain.
All right. Your third regular round question from listeners Jonathan and Shanna, I believe. Shanna.
Shanna.
We're going with Shanna? Let's go with Shanna. Your third regular round question from listeners Jonathan and Shanna. What is the current population and elevation of Rainbow Ridge?
Oh, no.
I had a much better guess at the train station.
I look at these. It's a...
You look at it, but you're not retaining.
Yeah.
I'll give you a hint.
So the population sign's fun because there's a bunch. It's X'd out a bunch.
Yes, the population peaked at over 2,100 people, but it's been X'd out repeatedly, and it has dwindled down to...
It's a 2-digit number.
Yeah?
Isn't it like 13? Isn't it something
I don't
ridiculous
think, I don't
like that?
remember if it's 13 or if it's like 67 or the 2 random numbers.
I'm going to say 13. And then what was the other thing?
Elevation.
2,000 feet.
2,000?
I have no idea.
87. And I don't know why.
87 feet?
I don't know why that pops in my head, but 87. I'm probably wrong.
2,000 feet?
You know what? Let's think smarter. When did
Disneyland's
it
elevate-
open?
77.
So do we think it's
I don't know. But Disneyland, like the train station, I think is 150 feet elevation.
Do you think it's accurate elevation or just...
Well, Disneyland's accurate elevation, but I don't know about the Rainbow Ridge. I already gave my numbers. You just got to figure out your numbers. So 67 and
77's in there somewhere. Do we think it's 77?
I already gave my answer.
I'm going to say 77 is the elevation. You know how many times I've taken pictures of this sign too, and I still don't know what the thing says?
I think you pointed it out every time we're in the queue too.
That one and the one that points to all the different places.
Well, you know what screwed us this time was it wasn't open when we were there.
Yeah, yes, that's the issue.
I probably would have written it a couple times. Anyway.
You would have.
All right, so we're going with population 13 and elevation of 87.
For me, Teresa had population of 67.
I don't know.
And elevation of 77?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know.
All right. And your fourth and final regular round question from listener Daniel C. Please name all of the attractions at Disneyland Resort that are included with Lightning Lane Multipass.
Oh, okay. So, let's think. So we're going to go. Which way do we want to go?
Can I refuse to answer this question?
So Lightning Lane.
And there is a listener note here that says, be sure to have several soapboxes stacked and ready for tag.
No. That's great.
Who sent this in?
This is from listener Daniel C.
Good job, Daniel.
Daniel C. There should be no Lightning Lane multi-pass attractions, but because there is, where do you want to start? At the resort or just Disneyland Park?
The specific question says, all attractions in Disneyland Resort that are included with Lightning Lane Multipass.
So we're going to start in Disneyland.
Okay.
We'll go from the back. We've got Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
You think way differently than I do.
Roger Rabbit Cartoon Spin. It's a Small World. The Matterhorn. And then
Space Mountain.
Space Mountain. You've got Star Tours and Astro Blasters. Am I supposed to be counting or just listing?
Well, list slower. I'm writing here. Small World, Matterhorn.
Space.
Star Tours. Astro Orbiter.
No. Blaster.
Astro Blaster, sorry.
Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters. And then if we there's none
Indiana
in
Jones.
Fantasyland proper.
Well, see, I go around the park. You like to go
dark rides. There's none in there.
No.
Yep. And then Indiana Jones. And then Haunted Mansion and Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Big Thunder. And then both Star Wars attractions.
Yep.
We've got
Rise and
Rise
Smugglers.
is the individual Lightning Lane, and then Smugglers. And then, DCA.
Oh, but he was actually a multi-pass, so not Rise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because multi-pass would not include Rise. Is that everything in Disneyland? I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And then California Adventure is a little bit easier.
Are you caught up over there? Okay,
Got it.
California Adventure, we've got Soarin' Grizzly River Run, Ariel's Undersea Adventure, Goofy's Sky School for who knows what reason, Incredicoaster, Midway Mania, Guardians
Radiator
of the Galaxy Mission
Springs'
Breakout,
single
Web Slingers, and Monsters.
Monsters. Yep. That should be it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you get all that, Vern?
Okay.
Now,
Pretty
just
sure
to
I
be
got all
clear,
those.
Vern, just in case there's any question later.
Yeah.
We did not mention Radiator Springs Racers because that's an individual Lightning Lane that you have to pay extra for.
And
Yes.
same with,
And same with Rise of the
Resistance.
Resistance.
Okay. All right. I think I got all of your answers down. Cool. And your bonus question tonight from the archives of producer James. How old was Steve Martin when he started working at Disneyland?
I think he was 15.
15?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
15! Oh, sure.
You're both saying it?
Yeah, it's fine.
You're locking in? You're blowing out those birthday candles with her?
Him? Them?
Well, you're agreeing with Teresa, so
Oh,
you're blowing
sure.
out the birthday candles with
Gotcha.
her.
Yes.
All right. 15 we're writing down. All righty. Well, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? If you stick around, we can all find out together.
Well, for this week, we have a very special guest with us. His name is Paul Briggs, and he has actually worked for the Walt Disney Animation Company for 25 years, anywhere from directing, animating, even a little bit of voice work, I think. Plus, he's a big Tiki enthusiast. So welcome to the show, Paul. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. And finally, to meet you guys, too.
Yeah.
I've been scheduling this for a little while. So
I also have to give a shout out because Sean's, one of our listeners, actually was the one that connected the two of us because he's also a big Tiki enthusiast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be.
Well, Paul, we always like to kind of start and get to know our guests a little better. So can you kind of tell us your Disney story? So this is just what made you fall in love with Disney and kind of can lead up into, the start of your career. You can be as detailed as you want with this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my love for Disney started really early on because of a book. There's a book called The Illusion of Life, which two old animators wrote and kind of pulled together, Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston.
Oh.
And it was like the early 80s, and I was in a mall, and I was already doing a ton of drawings. I was drawing a lot, but I was in a Walden bookstore in a mall, and I remember finding this book, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it was magic to me. It was like an animator's Bible. And I just flipping through it, I was like, wow, these are the most incredible drawings. They're so full of life. And there was one artist in particular that I kept like coming back to, like his drawings, and it was Mark Davis. And Mark Davis, huge influence. But I remember I took this, and it's a big book, and it's an expensive book too. But I remember I took this book to my mom over in the bookstore, and I was like, can we buy this? And we weren't well off at that, during that time. And I remember my mom like flipping it over and seeing the price, and just kind of the look on her face was like, ouch, this is an expensive book. But I also then remember she looked at me in my eyes, and there was something where she was like, yeah, we're going to buy this book. And for the rest of the day, I was like trying to walk in the mall and read this book at the same time. And I just couldn't put it down because I was just so blown away by the drawings. And so that was really the first time. I mean, I was familiar with Disney movies and the animated movies, but there was something really special about seeing the drawings and understanding. Like, I didn't have a great understanding of animation, but it really all of a sudden just became real for me, of like how you could move drawings and everything. And so that was really like my first love of Disney, was this because of this book, and my mom buying this book for me and supporting, that kind of like curiosity and interest I had right away. And then there was another moment I remember, it was probably a couple of years after that, where my older sister had gone out to California, where I was living in Texas at the time, and she went out to California with her friends, her friend's family. And she came back and she told me about Disneyland. And I had never been to Disneyland, but she was describing the Haunted Mansion to me. And she was telling me, she's like, oh, there's a hallway, and there's a candelabra like floating in the hallway. And then there's this room where all these ghosts are dancing. And my mind was just blown, because in my head, I was filling in all of the visuals of what this could be. And I was like, this is real. This is like, this place is real. It exists. I was like, I have to go there. I have to go visit that place. And so that really, like, I think that kind of like, there's a lot of things that are starting to mix into my life where it's like, oh, here comes animation. Here comes this magical place that exists. And so I think very early on, I still didn't know a lot. I hadn't, gone to Disneyland, but I was very kind of fascinated with it. So it's kind of sparked a lot of early thoughts for me on love for Disney.
That's awesome.
It's always so fascinating, like something as simple as just finding a book somewhere, like that changed the trajectory of your life.
Totally. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm not gonna lie, as I got older, when I got into high school, I still had this love for Disney and Disney animation. But then when I went to college, and I always loved Disney films, I always loved Disney animated films. But when I went to college, my interest completely shifted. And I got heavily into like ceramics. I was at a little private art school, and I got into ceramics, and I was still drawing a ton, like constantly drawing. Constantly going to figure drawing, and I was going to even the school I went to. We went to a medical center and drew from cadavers and all.
Oh,
And
wow. Yeah.
I was deep into this artistic world, but Disney really fell off the radar for me, where I was like, okay, that's just not in my interest anymore right now. I'm more fascinated by kind of studying art. And an instructor actually came to me and he said, hey, Disney Animation is going to be coming to the school in the next week. I think you should put a portfolio together and show them your portfolio. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really in my senior year in high school. I had a journal that said, I'd like to work for Disney. But now in college, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to work for Disney now. But I met with this Disney recruiter and he looked at my portfolio. And at the time, again, he was like, there was like pieces of metal where I was like drawing with welding and all this stuff. And he was like, yeah, I don't think you're right for Disney. And I was like, I don't think you're right for me. I was like, that's how I'm going to do this. And so I kind of was like, well, that's not an option anymore. And then my instructor actually told me, he was like, I think you should just mail your figure drawings to them. And I was like, okay, actually at first I was like, no, I can't afford to do that. I'm poor and in college. And he was like, I'll pay for the shipping. Just mail the portfolio. Mm-hmm. And I did. And like a month later, they called me and they're like, we'd like you to come down and start an internship I was 20 years old and it was in Florida. And they were like, come and start at a internship for feature animation. And I was like, okay, all right, here we go. So
that's wild.
Yeah.
That's also so cool that you had an instructor that believed in you that much to be like, to really push you and do it. And even, don't worry about it. I'll pay for the shipping. You just really need to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's really affected me. Even like my mother buying that book for me.
Yeah.
It's something I now take with me a lot, where I always try to give a little extra support to someone who's like, you know what, just keep going, keep mm-hmm. pushing, because it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard. Any passion you have is sometimes you have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like, pushing people to keep going and kind of, making their dreams come true is sometimes it's really tough sometimes. So, yeah.
Well, Paul definitely drank the Kool-Aid working at Disney Animation. No, I'm just kidding. You used the word dream a bunch in there, just so you know.
Yeah.
It's true.
So it is true. It is definitely true. And as somebody like my day job is I'm an instructor. Mm-hmm. And I think about this often about like when people tell stories of how they got started and, parents obviously, buying a book or something like that, or just being supportive of like artistic endeavors and stuff like that. And then you get, like you said, like I'll pay for it. Like mm-hmm. those people that are so instrumental in your life that can see something in you that maybe you don't even see in you, and like having that support is super important to have in your life.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Super grateful for that stuff. And, I think it's something that kind of kindness and support, like I've been really, really fortunate in my career in that I've had encounters with people that have done that always. And I even, when I first started at Disney, even this was like 96. I came into an internship in Florida at the Florida studio, because there was the Florida animation studio and then there was the California studio and a Paris studio. And Paris was making like Tarzan and Hunchback of Notre Dame, and California was making Hercules at the time, and Florida was making Mulan. And so when I started there, I had a little bit of a big head, because I was like, oh, I just got in an internship at Disney Animation, and I'm 20 years old and I'm feeling pretty good. And I started at that studio, and I remember walking down the halls and seeing some of the artwork. And I was really blown away by the talent. Like there's artists from all over the world that were working at this studio. And I really felt, I was like, it was a huge kind of it was a big kind of ego check for me, because I was like, wow, I don't think I'm going to be able to hang here. I don't think I'm going to be able to stay here at this studio, because I'm not talented enough to stay at this studio. But I put my head down and I worked super hard, and I just learned. All I did was I learned from people that were working all around me. So, and it was cool, because you're at the Florida studio was on the back lot of, it was called MGM Studios. It's Hollywood Studios now. And there's still that kind of tour that's there. But, it was really cool working. I'm 20 years old, and I've got a working on a movie and I'm on the back lot of, Hollywood studios. And at night I would go out sometimes after the park closed and I would just walk around, which is a very surreal experience to be in the park after it's closed, because there's a whole operation going on that a lot of people don't see, where trees are just being picked up and moved and replanted and people are cleaning. And it's a really kind of, there's a whole other life that happens after the park closes. That's really cool. So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if that bucket list item will ever come true for me, but I would love to be at the park. Closest you get is like making security angry at you of like, get out.
Yeah.
Like,
Keep going.
We got to get going. Speaking of the parks, when entering Disneyland for the first day, and this could be Magic Kingdom too, I guess, which way do you go? Do you go left towards Adventureland? Do you go through the Castle to Fantasyland, right towards Tomorrowland? And because people keep brought it up, I added it as a bonus. Do you favor a specific tunnel under the train that you go through, left or right?
Oh, oddly, I've never thought about that, but I always go the left tunnel. I never go to the right tunnel. I've never thought about that. That's weird, but I know for sure, like consciously I go to the left. And I think because it leads to the next question, your first question, which is, I kind of had a rule when I worked at Disneyland, or when I worked in animation, I would take guests to Disneyland. I had a rule, which was my favorite ride in the entire park, ride attraction, is the Enchanted Tiki Room. And so I had one rule, which is if I get you into the park, we do that first and you do it with me and we sit there and we enjoy it together. And then after that, whatever you want to do, let's go. But that was always a rule I had. So I always go left to Adventureland and I go there to the Enchanted Tiki Room. And I think there's something really magical about that attraction, because, and it's kind of why I make movies too. It's because you're transported to a whole other place. Like once you step into that room and they shut the door, like, again, I remember the first time I experienced it, I was like, is it raining outside? I don't know if it's raining outside. This is crazy. But again, it all stems back from that. My sister explaining to me the Haunted Mansion, I was like, that's such a foreign place. It's escapism. It's like, that sounds magical. And I think the Enchanted Tiki Room is really simple, but there's so much of an experience there that I love it. I just can't get enough of it. So I hope nothing ever happens or changes it. It's so perfect to me. So yeah.
There's a couple of things I feel in the park, and they're all things that have been there forever that, just like you said, they've got kind of more simple, more basic effects. It's not the most technologically advanced thing in the parks, but there's just so much magic. Haunted Mansion you already mentioned, but then like Pirates, there's just something about that. You just completely, like, I'm the level of nerd that I've looked at what the pathway is and all that, and I like, my brain does not comprehend when I enter that boat that, all the like, I know where the turns and everything are and how it's like, on top of each other, but you just completely forget that. It just completely shut, and you feel like you were, like you said, just completely transported. You fully believe that you're in the bayou in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I think that's actually part of the magic of Walt Disney himself, was that he was such a good storyteller and he understood movies so well. And a lot of those animators, like I said, Mark Davis came over and worked on a lot of that stuff. But a lot of the Imagineers too understood that you're going to be transported to another place, and you're not going to, like, you want to feel that escapism of going, wow, this is a really, like, I'm not in the US anymore at all. Even I just feel like I'm in an amazing place. And I think a lot of modern stuff is doing that really well too. I think the Star Wars kind of is so great too, where it's a really, like, it's something you start to pick up and consciously realize, where you go, as you're walking, how foliage changes, how rock formations change. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. And it's really cool. I mean, that's so much of that stuff. Again, I credit to those early Imagineers that kind of just understood great storytelling. And I mean, that was exciting for me too, honestly, with this stuff, was that it kind of opened my eyes to going, oh, I love the Enchanted Tiki Room. I love Pirates. I love Haunted Mansion. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I was already familiar with Mark Davis, but I wasn't really familiar with all of his Imagineering stuff. And then, like, it just exploded my mind, because then I start to go down a rabbit hole of just like research. And at the time I'm working at Disney Animation, so I could go to the Imagineering archives and look at stuff and Disney ARL, which is the Animation Research Library, and see drawings. And it's still an endless source of inspiration for me, all that stuff. So, yeah.
Amazing.
So I'm curious, real quickly, what's your favorite attractions?
Mine is the Haunted Mansion, which it's a weird kind of, like, it started off really rough. I was fascinated by it when I was watching that VHS. We were talking before the podcast. When I watched that travel VHS tape, I remember vividly watching that, and it was too realistic for that young Teresa. So I did not go on it when we went to Magic Kingdom the first time. And then I did go on it. I mean, I was even in 6th grade and I was terrified, but to this day, it's still it's my favorite. I think it's just because there's so many fun little gags, and just you notice something different every time. And it's just, I like the simplicity, but also the effectiveness of the simplicity.
There's so much power in that. I think even, again, as a storyteller, filmmaker, there's a lot of power. And I kind of like to describe it as like traumatizing children. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a good thing to go, wow, this was so scary, but it sticks with you. And you go, you're constantly like going, man, I was actually at the park one time with a friend of mine, a dad, and he had he was like 8 years old, 8 to 10. And he was like, I don't know if we should go on Pirates. It's kind of scary. And I'm like, you should absolutely go on Pirates with your son is going to be scared crazy, but he'll remember it for the rest of his life. I love that stuff. So Teg, what's your favorite attraction?
So this one used to be super easy for me. It used to be Indiana Jones Adventure, for sure. But I would say like we kind of hit a weird rough patch in the last few years where like it's better now, but for a while, like it used to be very first attraction of a trip to ride, last day, last attraction to ride. Like that was the thing. And then we hit a couple trips there where it just wasn't a very good experience. Like things weren't working, and it made me really sad because I really liked the attraction. But I think the one that I keep coming back to lately that I feel like I always forget about, but I really love, is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. I forget about it for some reason, or like when we're there, I'm like, well, that looks kind of like a long line. We'll come back and do it later. And then like we just don't, or we just do it like once per trip or something. And I'm like, man, I really love this. Like if I can go on it a bunch of times in one trip, like that's kind of cool. So yeah, I would say that. Although I did say I have another podcast, and there was a question about chaining yourself to an attraction if somebody was coming at Disneyland with a bulldozer. And the two rides that I saved, or the two attractions I saved in that question was I saved Radiator Springs Racers at DCA, and I saved Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at Disneyland.
You went for the newer ones and not the old classics.
Well, I think what happened was like Haunted Mansion and Pirates, like those are in other parks. I mean, so is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, but like, I don't know why I picked those. It just seemed like the thing to like try to say. I mean, I think at DCA, there's not a lot of good options of things that like I would put myself in front of something to save, because I didn't grow up with DCA. Like I was an adult when DCA showed up, and like over time it's gotten better. And I do think that Cars is definitely one of the strongest pieces of that whole park from like just a whole storytelling aspect. And that's such a great attraction, which like is why there's always a crazy line, even though it's been open 15 years or something now. So I just find that super crazy. And Mickey and Minnie, like it's good for all ages. Like it's just fun. I don't know. There's a lot of little details. You can ride it a bunch of times and see different stuff every time. Like there's a lot that goes into it.
I'm disappointed you didn't chain yourself to the Animation Academy. That would be my save in DCA.
Well, that would have been your answer. Yeah.
It's so fun. I'm not a drawer by like that. I'm not very artistic when it comes to that. But when I step in that room and the cast member, breaks it all down, it's magic that you're like, wow, look at that. I actually could draw whoever, Donald, Goofy.
Yeah.
I would say it's underrated, but the last couple times we've been there, the secret is out. Yeah. I think they should renovate that space and add a second auditorium for them to do like two, like maybe in 15-minute increment, like do one at like 3:00 and one at 3:15 and then another at 3:30, because there's always like a crowd in there, and people love it, and it's great. And the animators that are in there doing that, they have a very good skill of being able to say, like, look, this could look really intimidating, but we're just going to do simple. Let's just draw a little circle. It's kind of like what was the guy's name who did like the happy little trees?
Oh, Bob Ross.
They're kind of like Bob Ross. Like, they make you feel like you can do it too.
Yeah.
And
what's unique about that is you actually get a takeaway. You leave with something that you created that's really fun. I could never do that because I can't talk and draw at the same time. Like, my brain just locks in. So I appreciate the skill to do that for sure. Is not easy. So, because you're putting on a show and drawing at the same time. Not easy.
Yeah. Well,
some people are really gifted.
Speaking of animation, I think that's a good segue into your beginning days at Walt Disney Animation. So what was the first film that you got to work on?
The first thing I actually animated on was Hunchback of Notre Dame. I did one scene and I animated a shadow. Ooh. And I stayed up all night working on it. And I remember I had a supervising animator, and he came in the next day, and I showed it to him, and I thought, he's going to give me tons of notes and all this stuff. And he looked at it and he was like, great, send it on. And I was like, oh, okay, you don't want to watch this again? He's like, it's a shadow. And they blurred it and everything in the movie, so you hardly can see it. But it was the very first thing I did. And so, Hunchback was first, but then really I was brought on to work on Mulan. Mm-hmm. And then from Mulan, like, I was at the Florida studio, so I worked on Mulan, and then I worked some on Hercules, and I worked on Tarzan. And then Lilo and Stitch came, and that was the big movie in Florida for us. It was completely done in Florida. Mm. And that was a really wonderful, amazing experience to work on that movie.
What great films to start off with too. You can great time to come in with
it was an interesting thing. Yeah, the Florida studio was very much had this kind of really wanted to prove itself and show what they could do. And so Lilo and Stitch was a really big kind of moment for the Florida studio to be like, okay, this is who we are, because there was a little bit of a rough patch. I mean, when I started, they didn't have story figured out on Mulan. Mm-hmm. And I remember I'd come in at 11 o'clock and I'd play some ping pong for an hour, and then I'd do a little work, and then I'd leave because there was just not enough work at the time because they were figuring stuff out. And then I would do a thing too where it was really great because, again, it's Florida. I was like, well, if there was a studio van for animation, and me and my friends, you had to just reserve the van. We'd reserve the van. We'd all hop in and we'd drive over to Epcot, and you go with the back lot right into the Japanese pavilion. We'd have lunch, have sushi and at Epcot, the Japanese pavilion. So it was amazing. And then finally work started picking up. So we couldn't do that anymore. But it was great. And, I worked on films like Lilo and Stitch, and then I worked on Brother Bear. And then we were making a movie called A Few Good Ghosts. It was kind of a bluegrass, kind of country themed folk art story. At the time, Dolly Parton was kind of mixed into it and all.
Oh, that's cool.
It was really unique. They were going to mix kind of a computer animation and some hand-drawn animation. And then it just kind of started falling apart. The studio, actually, I think even we had a bad run of films. Not that the films are bad, but I just don't think the films did well at all. So things like Treasure Planet and Home on the Range. And so,
which is just interesting because now Treasure Planet, right? There's a whole little subculture and huge fandom of people. I always feel sad because the same thing I think happened with Goofy Movie, and there's Hocus Pocus. There's several of them that were total not great kind of flops when they came out, but they've just stood the test of time, and you probably would have, nobody would have ever guessed. But I think I always feel so sad because, right, the people that worked on it, everyone thought it was a failure. And then 10, 20, 30 years later, it's oh, no, people really liked this.
There is a huge audience that loves Emperor's New Groove.
There's
an underground love of Emperor's
I love it.
And I think that film did okay, but it's there's so many people that love that movie. But you talk about even you never know when a movie is released, what's going to happen. And Frozen, for example, when we put Frozen out, we knew Frozen was going to be really good. I went to a preview screening early on with Frozen when we went to Arizona. We flew to Arizona, gathered a bunch of people to watch the movie. And I remember I was sitting next to this really old guy watching Frozen. And I was like, I wish I was sitting. There were all these kids in the audience.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I. And this guy was quiet the whole movie, like totally quiet. And I boarded the scene where there's a moment where Hans goes in to kiss Anna, and he goes, "Oh, Anna, who could ever be someone like you?"
Oh, no.
And when that scene came up, I heard this guy go, he was just, like, grumbling under his breath, and I was like, he's engaged. He's watching this, and I was like, oh wow, this is really good. I think this is going to be great. I think already we knew like "Let It Go" was a really powerful song, and but when the movie came out, I remember like a week or two after, there was supposed to be a Hunger Games movie that came out, and that got delayed and it got pushed. So for a good 2 or 3 weeks, there was nothing to compete against Frozen, and it was just like out there, and so things like that. Even it's like, things can take off and really explode and do really well. So you never know. Know.
On that movie,
Frozen's like just Frozen fever. There's a phenomena about it. I mean, it's in the park. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You can hear the song anytime you step into like a little girl's bedroom or whatever.
Yeah.
And you got to work with now Disney legend Josh Gad.
Yes.
Yeah. Josh,
I don't know if you
really funny. Josh is one of those guys that where he would come in and he would just start to do that. He would do Olaf, and he's so good at improv that he would just kind of go off the rails, and you're like, okay, somebody's got to pull him back in and back to the script because he's just going. So he's very, very funny guy. So
I don't know if you watched his Disney legend accepted speech, but we were there for that D23, and it was hilarious because he talked about how he applied to be a Jungle Cruise skipper and he didn't get the job. And so he's like, I want to resubmit Disney legend Josh Gad.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they've had him do all these videos now of he was a skipper and then he was on Kilimanjaro Safari. And just like a couple weeks ago, he did Haunted Mansion. Like he was
he was also a train conductor. I was like,
yeah. He's awesome. And Frozen 2, that whole scene of him reenacting the first movie just inspired. Like that was perfect.
So great. Yeah.
So
super funny.
I see here looking at your Wikipedia page, that's a great spot to just kind of have your whole life just right in front of me to be able to ask about.
Oh, I've never looked at that. I could look at that.
Yeah.
All good
well,
things
what's good is you
things, Paul.
as you were naming stuff you worked on, it's in the order it's on here. I'm like, well, this works out great. So I see that you kind of started with Hunchback and Hercules, and everything you just said, and you were credited as like working as a visual effects animator. And I think we've talked to somebody else who kind of did something like this before, but in case they didn't hear that person talk about it, like when you think of an animated movie, at least when I thought of an animated movie, I just thought, oh, like you just animate stuff. Like there's no visual effects in animation. So like, can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, with animation's a really expensive process actually. And so that's even like Walt or a couple of early artists that kind of figured out how to storyboard things. So there's like a giant comic book version of the movie. So there are different departments that do different things because you just can't do everything all at once. And so storyboarding, writing, and visual development is all like one big, like early stage in animation. And that's where, that's where I'm at right now. And we'll storyboard an entire film and we'll look at it, we'll tear it down, we'll rebuild it. And once that's done, then you go into layout. And layout's basically, if you think about it, it's like, okay, now we're going to dress the set. And there are amazing artists that are so great at like staging and composition of like, okay, this is where we're going to put the camera in on the stage. And this is how we're going to do it. And this is still something even today in computer animation that you do, because you have layout artists who are building a set or traditional artists who are painting a set. But it's like, okay, here's where all the action's going to take place. This is your canvas basically. And then animation comes in, and animation is the actors. There's character animation. And so these character animators come in and it's like, okay, now we're going to have here's the scene, and the characters kind of come in and do this thing. Once it leaves character animation, then it goes to visual effects, which is all the stuff I always kind of put it as all the stuff you really shouldn't be paying attention to,
Sure.
but it creates it. It's all to service the story. So, like I said, even that simple little shadow I did, the guy Frollo, it's actually Frollo walking, and he's got a torch, and it's just flickering shadow underneath him, and the torch itself is fire, and so little things like that just add to the scene. Visual effects is like any rain or splashes or props that are moving through the scene. And it's something, there's a whole department that just does visual effects. And then there's a whole other stage after that too, of like, especially in computer animation, where it gets into cloth simulation and things not lighting. And then there's lighting. Lighting is a huge one, which is basically like ink and paint, the old ink and paint days. It's basically you come in, you light your characters and, change the color to fit the mood of the scene. And then it all just kind of gets smashed together. And you've got this, one shot that it's like, okay, there it all is. So it's a massive process that involves a lot of people, which is why it's really, really important to have your story figured out early on. Like, try to get it as solid as possible, because people are going to spend hours, weeks to do certain shots, and you want it to be worthwhile. You really want every second on the screen to be worth it for them to give their time. So yeah, it's quite a process for animation.
So unlike live action, where you kind of just take a bunch of footage of whatever, and then you kind of bring the story together in post-production when you're editing.
It's all
in animation. It's like, let's lock all that down before we start doing all the hard work.
Yeah, actually, they call it that. Actually, even they call it a locked reel. You do like 3 or 4 screenings of just the storyboards to see what's working and what's not working. And always those first screenings are terrible, and they're so painful, because you're in a room you're in a room with a bunch of people, and you're watching it, and people are like laughing at a point that they're not supposed to be laughing at. You're just like, oh my God, it's terrible for me. Like, I curl up in a ball because there's so much anxiety watching a movie, but you tear it down and you rebuild it, but you get to a point where you go, you know what, now this is working. And they do call it locked reels, because now it's locked and we're moving into animation. Very, very little changes can be done. So yeah.
I was very thankful for Disney Plus, because it kind of gives us an extra peek behind the curtain. And when they came out with the making of Frozen 2, and kind of seeing the behind the scenes and seeing, what that animation process looks like was amazing. But the other thing that was incredible to me was how down to the wire some of these films are, with when things, like how close it is to when things are finished versus when, it's in a theater. And I was just like, wow, this is like just crazy. It was just, I was already impressed with all of the work that went into it, but I thought that it was a little bit more, I don't know, relaxed, I guess. But it was like, this is high stakes, high stress. Holy cats. Like, it was just wild.
I couldn't believe they didn't have like that one song even written, and it was like 6 weeks to the movie premiering. I'm like, what?
How do they? Yeah. And just like the amount of time that it takes. I don't remember what the specific scene was, but like it was just Elsa walking and the amount of time it takes just for that bit to happen, which is just, 2 seconds or something on screen. I'm like, this is incredible. So I am so curious, because you worked it's such an interesting time, I think, because, right, you did hand-drawn animation and you were there for the transfer into computer. And so what was that? Because it almost is like looking at the list of films on your page here, it's almost like it's half and half from the traditional hand-drawn and then the new computer animation. What was that transfer like for you?
It was interesting, because I also at the time made a huge transition, which was I was in animation. I was in effects animation. But then once I left effects animation, I moved into storyboarding.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was actually still story and visual development were the few places that you could still draw in, even though I stopped drawing on paper. I completely draw digitally now. I draw, like, for the last 10, 15 years, I've only drawn digitally now. So I felt like a big shift happened in the filmmaking process, because then we could go, okay, again, with hand-drawn animation, it was like you couldn't do a lot of really fancy camera moves.
Sure.
Once we got into computer animation, I was like, wow, it made it really hard because now you're storyboarding something. You're going, okay, I'm in a motorcycle chase and I want the camera to come around this motorcycle and do all this stuff. And it's like, ooh, okay, I got to draw that still. So, but it really freed up as far as like camera moves and all. And I think I still think there's still a lot of potential with computer animation that stylistically we haven't done yet. So there's a lot of potential. I have such a deep love for hand-drawn animation. Like, I just think there's again, stems from that book of just going, man, drawings that are moving just are so powerful to me. And I'm actually working right now with James Baxter, who was the animator who animated the scene in the ballroom and Beauty and the Beast when the camera comes down and the Belle and the Beast dancing, and incredible like drawings, like perfectly moving in space and perspective. And it's funny because I'm working on a thing right now, a little test, and I'm storyboarding it, and I intentionally put a scene in where this character is dancing with this other character. It's kind of a ballroom scene because I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, that person, that poor animator is going to have to show their animation to James Baxter, the guy who did Belle and Beast.
Yeah.
It's like, so
you're like, no pressure.
But I still have such a love for hand-drawn animation. I hope down the road more stuff gets made with it. So
me too. So The Princess and the Frog was the last hand-drawn animation feature film.
I think maybe Winnie the Pooh came. I think Pooh came out right after.
Gotcha.
That may have been the very last one, but
gotcha. Yeah. But I remember, because I absolutely love Princess and the Frog, and it's so magical how, if you have ever been to New Orleans and if you're paying attention to the backgrounds and the places that they all are, you can visit those places. So that's an extra level of magic to me, because you've never felt like you could walk into a space where the animated characters were living and doing their thing. But I remember learning like that was the last one, and I was just like, then I just had this like love-hate relationship. I'm like, no, that can't be the end. It was so good. But the digital, the digital and the computer stuff is just, every time that something comes out, it's just like, how did they do this? When you're looking at things like hair and fabric movements and how it just looks so real that you could reach out and touch it, even though it's still animated. It's just
Disney and
incredible.
Pixar are masters at that. I think their level of, that's when you talk about like things get down to the wire and you're like, oh, we got to get this thing done. Actually, it was, even though it was extremely stressful and it's, high anxiety, there was always a calmness in going, I'm working with the best in the world, and they're going to be able to pull it off. And they did it on movies before. It's not going to be easy and it's going to be hard, but there's a level of trust you have that you go, these are incredible, talented, smart people I'm working with. And so that's, at the end of the day, they're going to bring it and do their amazing work. So,
So we've kind of talked about some of your roles with animation in, visual effects and then story artist. Something that I think is fascinating. I need to know, how did you get into voice acting on some of these films too?
With a lot of, like I said, we do like 3 or 4 story screenings.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to bring the actors in to do those, because we're just trying to, it's a rough cut, trying to figure the movie out. So we end up doing a lot of the voices. So, and that's one of those things where it's like, even, it's funny because even I would jump in and I'm like in the recording booth and be like, hey, what are you? And I do like a bad Josh Gad, like, what are we talking about? And it's like, so we record that stuff. And sometimes some of those just stick. Where it's like, and I hate it, honestly. I hate it because you hear, like, that's not my, like, I'm not going to quit my day job to go voice acting. And it's because it's always when you hear it in a screening, even you're like, oh God, why is that still there? But
they couldn't have found anyone else to have done that.
Yeah. So it happens and it sticks and they're there. And it's like, but it's always just kind of like, it's funny watching movies, Disney films, because every now and then I'll hear a voice and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Raymond Percy. And oh my gosh, that's Jeff Rangel. It's like, you just hear artists you've worked with that you go, Oh yeah, that's and we have a lot of fun. There's a lot of, even I remember on Frozen, Jen Lee, who is the co-director and writer, and Chris Buck were playing like Anna and Kristoff in the recording booth. And I forget what the scene was. There was a moment, maybe it was like the wolf chase or something in the movie, but Chris had on a scarf and they were both in the booth recording, and Jen was like yanking the scarf and it was like choking Chris as they're like recording. And it's just fun. It's like sometimes you're like, we're just making movies. This is weird and crazy and fun, and okay, this is good. So
this is work. We're in a sound booth, yanking at each other's stuff.
Somebody's gonna give us a paycheck today.
Yeah.
Really?
You're like, this is just.
But that's got to be balanced with. I'm sure there are days of just absolute stress and like we're never gonna get this done, but it has to get done. And
yeah,
I have to imagine working for Disney with such an animation legacy that there's a lot of pressure, no matter the project, to carry that on. Did you, in all of the work you did with Disney, did you feel that at times? Like, I'm sure in the midst of work, it's not really like front of your mind, but like, do you ever have moments where you stop and be like, oh my goodness, this is going to be on the same shelf as Pinocchio and Snow White and Bambi and whatever?
No, definitely. I think that's one of the things that Disney has is that legacy. So deeply rooted. And it's something I actually, even when I was out at the California studio here working, I always tried to keep that front and center a little bit of like, I always feel like, you made it to the NBA. You're playing in the NBA. You respect, give some respect for what's come before you, but, really acknowledge like your moment here and the importance of that. And so there were times even at Disney where I would have celebrations where I would celebrate old artists' birthdays, and I would just put up a bunch of their artwork. And the ideas, you can just, once you start putting that stuff up, you're like, man, these ideas are so pure and good and amazing. And it's like, how can I take that same magic and charm of those old movies and put it into what we're doing? And so, actually, it's funny because Princess and the Frog, I think, had a lot of that too, where you go, well, I remember even a conversation we were having where it was like, I think this may be kind of scary. And it's like, I don't think it's that scary. It's just the way we show it. I was like, what's scary is when a kid named Lampwick is smoking a cigar and he turns into a donkey. That's a terrifying scene. I was like, but they handled it in a way where they showed it on the wall and it's a shadow. And you kind of filled in the blanks. And I'm like, we can do that with this scene where we see, what's happening just through shadow. And that can be even more powerful visually. So little things like that, you're constantly kind of taking and going, what can we take from the old school and put it into the new? And also though, I think there's also still a lot of things where we go, yeah, but how can we do this fresh and different too? So yeah, there's a lot of that where it's just, there was always just such a respect for the legacy at Disney Animation. It's something I still deeply have. Again, I still I constantly look at Mark Davis's work. And I actually, when I was in Florida really quickly, I had a moment where I'd always loved Mark Davis, and Mark Davis came to the studio to visit. At the time he was in a wheelchair and I was in visual effects animation, and he was being toured around. And I remember I came out and I saw him, and he was probably like 20 feet away. And he was surrounded by all these animators and they were all talking to him. And I thought, you know what? They're like supervising animators. They've earned the right, the respect to talk to him. And I was like, I'm not going to go over and say hello to him. And he passed away like 6 months later. I never met him. And I was so crushed by that. I was like, I didn't get to meet this. I wish I could have told him how impactful his work was on me. But I never had that. And I always regretted not just telling him that. He probably heard it billions of times, but I was like, man, I really wish I could have told him that. It's funny because after Big Hero 6, they asked if I wanted to go give a talk on a Disney cruise line about Big Hero 6. And I was like, I'm not a cruise guy. It's not my thing. I'm going to pass. And they're like, but you can go, take your family and just, talk about Big Hero 6. And I was like, no, not my thing. Find somebody else. And they're like, okay. I mean, there's other people on the cruise that are giving talks too. And I was like, okay. And they named a few, but then they went, and Alice Davis. And I was like, Alice Davis? Okay, I'm going on the cruise. And so I felt like such a weirdo. I'm like stalking Alice Davis on this cruise, but she was super sweet. And I did get to tell her, like, she's an incredible artist. And so I did get to tell her how much her husband impacted me. So that was a good thing.
Oh, who knew Big Hero 6 would be your connection to the Davis family? Yeah. I mean, another incredible film, but that's wild.
To kind of go off of what I said a minute ago too about like that you have this legacy, of everything. I would consider looking at the films that you have worked on. I feel like you've worked on a lot of things that are modern classics. Yeah. Like I think everybody would admit that like Frozen is a behemoth and, top tier Disney, I would say, even though like you get people like me who are like, I heard Let It Go. And I'm like, yeah, they should just let that song go, which I was sad because Into the Unknown I thought was a better song. And that one never quite got the same play, but it's getting more, but like, love that song. Thought it was great. Glad that we can move on from that. So what is it like to kind of have such a success like that? Like, do you like pinch yourself? Like, I wouldn't even know, like this thing you spent all this time working on kind of in secret that then gets released to the world and you don't know what the reaction is going to be. And then it ends up being like Frozen, which like literally was everywhere. And then you get weird things, right? You get like the parks where it wasn't in the parks right away, right, yeah. But then suddenly it was in like everything, but like 2 to 3 years later. And it's like, what took so long?
Well, and same thing. Tangled is on there too. The Princess and the Frog.
Yeah.
Look at that. You've got attractions and lands and all sorts of.
Moana.
Yeah. They're all really, really great. To me, what's really special about those movies is now in hindsight, even looking back and looking at the crew of people that made those, because it's, again, I'm like, man, this is like the all-star NBA team of people. When I look back and I go, wow, these are some of the best animators in the world. And it's a weird kind of collision too, of like some hand-drawn animation coming in and mixing. Cause like Glenn Keane was looking over computer animated scenes and redrawing them on Tangled. And so I really associate a lot of these movies with just the incredible, incredible talent making it at the time. And, obviously Pixar had a huge influence too of kind of joining forces, and then all those great minds and all the Disney minds coming together. And so, yeah. And Frozen was funny because I don't know if they completely expected it to be that big of a hit. And so they were really playing catch up. I remember when it came out, and again, like all of a sudden it started steamrolling the box office, and they were like, okay, dresses, we need dresses. You could feel the like really like pressure of like, oh wow, this is big, and let's catch up to this now. There are times that I've had outside of the movie that have really impacted me, where like we went to Disney World one time, my family and I, and we'd gotten in the tram and we were going back to the parking lot, and I was sitting next to a little girl, full on Elsa dress. She had a box with an Elsa doll in it and everything. And we were sitting there, and like, I was like, wow, this kid loves Frozen. And her mom was sitting next to us, and I just started talking to them, and I was like, wow, you really love Elsa. And she's like, she's the best. And I'm like, well, I worked on that movie, and that's really great to hear that. I'm glad you like that movie. And I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm Marshmallow, the big giant snowman in that. And I was like, can I draw Olaf on the box of your Elsa? And she was like, yeah. And so I had a Sharpie on me, and I drew this whole thing of Olaf, and I was like, there you go. But I was like, this is like just the love people have for the characters. You pour your heart so much into developing these characters. They become real, and you go, this is like Anna and Elsa and Raya and Hero and Baymax. I don't talk about them like they're these kind of made up characters. They're real to me. And they, like, I know them so well. I know what they would do. I know what they would think, and I know what their actions would be. And so there's a power to that, of just kind of creating something that people really also love as much as you. And that's special. I remember actually on Big Hero 6, we were struggling with that movie. Every movie's a struggle. Every movie's hard to figure out. And we were struggling on Big Hero 6, and we're at an offsite. We're at these gardens in LA here. And I remember we were trying to figure out the story, and everybody was talking and there was arguing, and then we broke for lunch. And I remember I was like, I knew this garden has this huge, huge oak tree. And I'm like, I'm just going to head over to that oak tree and just kind of get some fresh air for a second. And when I went over there, there was a school group going through, and all of the kids in this line were singing Let It Go. And it really impacted me because I was like, you know, we figured that movie out. We can figure Big Hero 6 out too. And I was like, these kids love that. So I'm going to get back in there. We're going to figure it out. And so it kind of just re-energizes you to go and do that stuff.
Well, and now Big Hero 6, I mean, Baymax is another like huge character from that. I don't know anyone that does not love Baymax, because how could you not?
Yeah.
The fact that they figured out a character in the park is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We had an exchange student last year, and we went to the park, and we went to the Big Hero 6 like meet and greet in San Francisco. And there's a picture. This is I would describe him as pretty macho 16-year-old guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hugging Baymax. And it's the coolest picture. And Baymax is doing, the blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. Like, that's another one of those ones, too, that it, like, I feel like it wasn't a huge, like, it wasn't a huge following, but now, like, people just are, like, there's a whole land that just came of it, and people are so interested in it.
Yeah. It's been actually, that's been a really fun thing, too, with these movies, is that then it's allowed me the opportunity to meet with Imagineering and develop some rides.
Oh, yeah.
I worked on the Baymax ride over in Tokyo. And even in that, there's like in the queue, there's a tape dispenser kind of as a prop. And on the back of the tape dispenser, there's all this information. And my birthday is on there. They gave me a little Easter egg on that. I'm like, oh, that's fun. But I've always loved Imagineering. And I think that's kind of it's opened the door to some of that kind of involvement too, which is fun. So.
And who doesn't love working with Imagineers? Like, Imagineers are some that we've interviewed and talked to some Imagineers, and like, they're just such cool people. Everybody, even though you guys do different stuff, you're all creative people, right? Yeah. You're all trying to tell stories just differently. You draw or computer animate, and they physically make things.
Stuff, yeah.
I was going to say, what's that like? Because, you've got Tangled. We've got a Tangled Tower is now coming to Disneyland and Storybook Land canal boats. You've got the famous Tangled bathrooms that everyone's so sad that Tangled only has the restrooms in Magic Kingdom, but they're gorgeous. Then, of course, we've got Frozen in several parks now. We've got Zootopia coming to Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
And Encanto, I feel like, is still underrepresented in the parks. We've got a lot of it, but it's still underrepresented. Same with like Raya. What does that feel like to create these films and stories and get so, like you said, you kind of, these are more people to you than characters, because you get to know them so intimately, and then being able to kind of step into their worlds or like meet them in the parks. What is that experience like?
It's it's like this weird escapism of going, now it's just this another next level of it becoming real in there. And again, like you said, Tech, the Baymax walk around is like, I remember the very first time I saw that, I was like, you did it. You figured it out. How is this possible? And so it's really just like, it's just so fun. I mean, I think it's just, again, even with animation, there's like the story, but then animation, like it just keeps leveling up. And so once it gets into the park, it's a whole other leveling up of going, wow, now it's physicalized and it's real, it's walking around. And I love it. I think, Disney does that so well. They do that so well, of kind of that, just continuing to push stuff.
Yeah. And just kind of build off of the momentum and, really bring the stories that we love to life so we can experience them as well.
Well, we had so much fun speaking with Paul Briggs that we will continue our interview with him next week.
In episode 222 and 338, we spoke with our friends Debbie and Steve at Designer Park Company about their rope drop, park view, and single rider bags, as well as the Master Gracie. If you have been wanting to get one of these park goer bags for yourselves, you can use our promo code DLWeekly to get 10% off your purchase at designerparkcode.com.
It's okay. I'll be the only weekly tier without an answer. Make sure you send your questions to Producer James or Producer Vern at trivia@dlweekly.net.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we are going to find out the answers to tonight's questions and see how Tag and Teresa, and you listening at home, did. Tag, Teresa, how do you feel?
I've got concerns.
Concerns?
I've got concerns.
Okay. Yep, concerns.
Well, let's see what the results are. Your first question from listener Stephen W. What are the names of the two Onaka transport technicians that talk during the smuggler run's queue? You answered, I don't know, and we're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
The correct answer that I was looking for was Gar and Malta.
Gar. I remember Gar now that you say that.
That does sound familiar. Not poor Malta, though. Sorry. Kudos and bonus points to Steven for going back to the parks to verify his question. That's amazing. I love that.
Mm. They will stop at no legs to stump us.
Mm-hmm.
And they're good at it. Your second question from listener Andy M. There are at least 5 real-life landmarks, 4 man-made, 1 natural, when guests fly above London in Peter Pan's flight. Can you name them? You said the River Thames, Big Ben, the Tower Bridge, Westminster Abbey, and Buckingham Palace. The correct answer that I was looking for was the River Thames, Big Ben, the Tower Bridge, St. Paul's Cathedral, and Nelson's Column.
Oh,
is that the one that's in Trafalgar Square that looks like the Washington Monument almost?
maybe. I don't know.
Well, we were close, Vern.
You did very well. 3 out of 5.
What was that? 60%?
60%. That's failing in school.
What did you? What was the
Wow. Wow.
Vern, what was the last one?
Nelson's Column.
Column. It's a column.
But is that in Trafalgar Square?
It's
Person on top.
Yeah, but that's in
a
Trafalgar
column
Square.
named after Nelson.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like the Washington
No.
Monument.
Your third regular round question from listeners Jonathan and Shanna. What is the current population and elevation of Rainbow Ridge? Tag said 13 people and 87 feet above sea level. Teresa said 67 people and 77 feet above sea level. The correct answer that I was looking for was 38 people and 135 feet above sea level.
Look, what I tell you. There's a picture that I took from this spring of that sign because I take pictures of that sign.
Are you going to commit
way
it to
too
memory for the
frequently and
future?
Don't commit it to memory, no. So let's see, the population started at 2,015 people. Then we crossed that out. We went to 247 people. That was a big dip. Crossed that out to 85 to then 38.
Wow.
But they seem to be holding strong at those 38.
They seem to be holding strong, yes.
Yes.
What was the elevation again?
135.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So there's no Easter eggs of when the attraction
Not on this side,
opened.
anyway.
And your fourth and final regular round question from listener Daniel C. Please name all of the attractions at the Disneyland Resort that are included with the Lightning Lane Multipass. You said the Runaway Railroad, the Cartoon Spin, Small World, Matterhorn, Space Mountain, Star Tours, Astro Blasters, Indiana Jones, Haunted Mansion, Tiana's, Big Thunder Mountain, Smuggler's Run, Soarin', Grizzly Run, Ariel, Goofy's, Sky School, Midway Mania, Guardians, Web Slingers, Monsters, Inc.
Incredicoaster.
And Incredicoaster. The correct answer that I was looking for. Goofy Sky School, Grizzly River Run, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, Incredicoaster, The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Undersea Adventure, Monsters Inc., Soarin' Around the World, Toy Story, Midway Mania, Autopia, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Buzz Lightyear, Astro Blasters, Haunted Mansion, Indiana Jones Adventure, It's a Small World, Matterhorn, Bobsleds, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run, Pirates of the Caribbean,
Nope.
maybe. Maybe
That is
a
incorrect.
temporary addition is in parentheses here. Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, Space Mountain Star Tours, The Adventures Continue, Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
So we missed Autopia.
We missed Autopia.
Yes.
You know, you said Autopia, and I was like, oh!
I know. That's wild. So that means basically the vast majority of attractions in Tomorrowland are
except
Lightning Lane,
for
Nemo?
Monorail and Nemo.
Oh, and the Orbiter, I guess. I wasn't thinking of the monorail.
Yeah.
But yeah. The Astro
Nobody ever
Orbiter.
thinks of the monorail.
Not as like a Lightning Lane
Sure.
potential attraction.
Sure. We did pretty good, though, Vern.
No, you did
Yeah,
very
that wasn't
well.
bad.
I was
Just
impressed.
forgot the Autopia. Because Pirates does not currently.
Yeah, they
have-
took it out. But
Yep,
it did at
is
some
done.
point, but yeah.
It did at one point, yes.
And your bonus question from listener, from producer James. He's not a listener. How old was Steve Martin when he started working at Disneyland? Both of you saying 15. The answer that I wanted was 10.
What?
Ask James.
As we
We're
Google.
both like going to our computers like, nah.
Oh, yeah. Spent his teenage years working at Disneyland. From age 10 to 18, he worked there after school on weekends and during summer breaks. He started
Wow.
selling guidebooks at the entrance just a few months after it opened. So 1955, which means he was born in 1945. Let me look
Yep.
up just Steve Martin.
Same age as my mom.
Yep. There you go.
Child labor laws were a little different back then.
10. Wow.
Holy buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Do you have some amazing questions that are going to really stump them in the future? If you've got that perfect question and that you've just been dying to hear on the air, please feel free to send that in to dlweekly.net/trivia.
I mean, we'll do with like just okay trivia too. We can get some low balls sometimes. But we'll be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
A special thank you to Sidell for editing the podcast and Andy Mack for all the wonderful character transitions, and to James D for supporting at the Club 33 level.
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal podcast companion. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this episode? My scans indicate you have been a good weekly tier. Have a lollipop. Now excuse me while I let out some air. Goodbye.